Hey guys, I'm Elizabeth McCravy, a website designer and business coach for entrepreneurs and your host for the Breakthrough Brand podcast, the show that's all about pulling back the curtain on how to actually build a successful business. I don't skim the surface around here. If you want a deep dive into the nitty-gritty details of what it takes to run a successful business and stand out in a crowd, you're in the right place. After creating a multiple six-figure-a-year website design business in my 20s, I'm ready to share everything I've learned and everything I'm still learning because I believe the keys to building a thriving business should never be a secret. Here you'll find episodes that are actionable, direct, and fun, like friends chatting business over coffee, and a fresh, honest take on the reality of being an entrepreneur. If you're ready to master online marketing, branding, website design, mindset, and business strategy, then this is the podcast for you. It's time to build your breakthrough brand. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to our final Booked Out Week episode and interview. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Katie Boykin and Stephanie Duke prior to this. And if you missed those interviews, they're definitely worth going back to for a listen later. And I definitely plan to have more Booked Out designer students on this podcast because I know you guys are really loving these interviews and I've enjoyed having them. So today I'm chatting with Katelyn Dekle, and Katelyn and I first connected like 2+ years ago when she heard me on James Wedmore's podcast and sent me the world's sweetest email telling me her story and how the episode with James was impactful to her. And it was just like, oh my gosh, she's so cool. And I enjoyed connecting with her in that way. And if you want to listen to that episode on James' podcast, I'll link to in the show notes. But that was episode 368 of his podcast. So that interview, though, was before Booked Out Designer ever existed. But then later, once the course was created, Katelyn was someone who joined, and she has been an essential part of our community ever since. She's always in the group helping answer people's questions and giving her thoughts and perspective on what's worked for her and her business. And in today's episode, we're talking through her business journey, her advice for niching down and finding clients as a designer, and her experience with Booked Out Designer. She went from literally doing like 260 something in a month in her business to, after implementing things from Booked Out Designer, making 10K in a month. Like really cool, quick transformation there. So we're going to talk about some of that. And I just love Katelyn. I love her unique approach to business and marketing, and her love for teaching what works for her is so evident. And I think you'll see that in this conversation and be able to learn from her. She's going to share some cool alternative ideas for niching down, how she niched specifically to like a personality type, not an industry, which is really cool. And I think will resonate with a lot of you who have found like the traditional, like work with this one type of industry to not be exactly what you want to do. So I love that perspective. And she shares how she's getting clients from Google, not Instagram, not YouTube, not making reels, but like from Google search, and how you can do that too. So really excited for this one. And I feel like I can't do this intro without saying today is my 30th birthday, October 27th. So crazy. And normally I wouldn't even be airing an episode of my birthday because it lands on a Thursday this year. But normally I would do some kind of special like birthday type of episode this week. But instead because I am who I am, decided to do a promotional week during my birthday week, which my husband Adam was literally like, of course you would plan a promotion for your course that you love so much during your birthday week. That is so you. And it does feel so me and so fun because I love launches and promo periods and marketing, all of that kind of stuff. But you can bet that today on my actual birthday, I will be relaxing, reflecting, doing tons of journaling. One of my favorite things to do on my birthday is my letters to my future self, letters to my past self journaling practice. I've been doing that for over 5 years now. And I'll be doing that, probably having some coffee I really love and doing a date night, hanging out with friends, things like that. So really appreciating life in these last 10 years as I leave my 20s and enter a new decade. And perhaps a 30th birthday reflection episode will come later in a few weeks once I'm like out of this promotional period. But I'm just so grateful for all the things that have happened in my 20s. I know you guys can relate that when you like go from one decade to another, you can reflect back and it's like, oh my gosh, so much has happened in 10 years. Like literally started my 20s, just graduating college. I got married. I started this business, started our real estate business, had a baby, moved 3 different times. Like a lot has happened in the last 10 years. So really fun. And I'm excited for the year of my 30s and what that will bring. But now I want to get into this episode with Katelyn Dekle, and I hope you guys super enjoy it. And again, as a reminder, Booked Out Designer Week is coming to an end. So right now, if you want to join and get all the promotional amazing bonuses happening right now, join in the next 2 days before that ends. Okay, now here's that interview with Katelyn. Okay, guys, I am so excited to welcome Katelyn Dekle to the podcast. So, Katelyn and I was just telling her about this. I was reading this email this morning, but we first connected 2 years ago in May 2020 after I was on James Wedmore's podcast. And she sent me a really long, sweet email about how she was a listener of my podcast and his podcast and was excited when she saw our names together on his and listened to it 3 times. And Katelyn, you told me at that time, because this was May 2020, you were at your 9 to 5. You said you'd been there about 9 years. And for the last 2 of those years, you were thinking about quitting and wanting to take your side hustle full time, but trying to figure that out. And now since then, you've quit your 9 to 5, you're full time in your business. You joined Book.Designer 6 months ish, I believe, after being full time in your business. You had your first 10K month around then, and you've been growing so much. And I've just been obsessed with your business and your brand in particular, like ever since we first connected back then. So I'm excited to dive into your story. And I have questions for you that I don't know the answer to. And then other questions I kind of know the answer to, but I'm like, I want you to expand on for everyone. So anyway, welcome to the podcast, Katelyn.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
Yes. And to start, okay, before we get into your story, I want you just to tell everyone briefly what kind of design work you do, who you serve in your business name, and like how long you've had your business.
I've been side hustling / full-time freelancing for 7 years now, since 2015. I wasn't always under the name that I am under now, though. So that was kind of a transition we could talk about later. That was a whole thing. But basically, I'm an introverted systems nerd that giggles way too much, drinks a ton of coffee. And I love to design and organize and strategize. And that's my home. And so I ended up just working with, I'm a fixer by nature. So I end up working with people to fix things. That's like where I'm happy. So like overhauling websites and stuff, that's where I'm like, that's my jam.
Love it. And I don't think you said this, but you're a designer on Squarespace.
Mm-hmm.
So for people listening, that's your platform you choose, which I'm going to we'll talk about that more at the end. But have you done other website platforms besides Squarespace at different points?
Yep. I've dabbled in Showit, and I've also dabbled in Webflow. And my first website ever was in Weebly, and I've done a couple in Shopify.
Okay. I used Weebly too back like a long time ago. I think now, I don't know.
It is. I think it's still, I get like emails from them saying something about my old email marketing platform that I used them for like ages ago.
That's funny. Yeah, I used that a long time ago as well. Okay, so I want to start at back it up a little bit, because again, I think your story is really interesting that a lot of listeners will be able to relate to it. But you went to college to be a designer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, did you always know you wanted to do design, or was that how did that happen that you ended up studying design?
No, I really didn't. I had a good art teacher, but even back then, which feels very odd to say, but my senior year of high school is when I started taking art classes in high school. Yeah. And that was 2005. It was my senior year. And he was saying art careers, what can you get into? And he was talking about medical illustration. And I was like, whoa, an art career. But that's not me. I can paint and I can do stuff that's realistic, but it takes a lot more effort for me to do that kind of art than it does for someone who's naturally good at it. So when I went to college, I was thinking, what's in the art department? What can I do that's creative? So I ended up doing interior design my first semester. And I love the idea of the decoration thing, but not so much on the building code thing. That was a whole other. Yeah. So I remember sitting down with my counselor, and she was like, what do you like to do? And I was like, well, I've always played in publisher as a kid. And she was like, you need to be a designer. I was like, what is that?
That's awesome. And that's so helpful when those sorts of people come into your life and tell you this is what you should try doing.
Yeah. As soon as I did it, the first class, I was like, yeah, this is it. That's what I need to do.
That's awesome. So what was your actual major then once you graduated?
That's another interesting thing. I haven't graduated.
That's cool though.
Yeah. I was in college for a grand total of 5 to 6 years because I transferred so many times and I kept having to backtrack when I transferred. So I got really close. I think I was like 6 credits shy, which I know is like for someone who loves to finish projects, that is like killing me.
That's funny. Well, that's cool though. Yeah. So when you did finish your time doing your classes and all that, you eventually, I don't know if that was your first job or a little longer, but I know you were in like in-house designer for a service business. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I did. I actually got my first intro design, like art department job in 2006 alongside my design classes. Okay. And I was making $6 an hour, no benefits. Wow. Like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was back in 2006. And Georgia is not widely known for labor. So that felt like high because my university jobs were like $5.15 an hour.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was like not creative really. It was just like I knew Illustrator and that was what got me in the door there.
Yeah. So you've clearly gone a long way since then. So when you started, okay, so I know you started your business as a true side hustle in 2015. What were you doing at that time? Work-wise? That's part one of my question. And part two, like what led you to like be like, oh, I want to do something on the side in addition to this?
Yeah, I worked in the art department at a screen print and embroidery shop. And so I would be like designing the graphics that go on the shirts, basically. Which was really fun in the beginning because it was mostly design, but it was like some illustration. And then it got to kind of where like we got busy, the company got busier, which was great. But, you know, management dictates how you do things. And it doesn't always align with the way that we want to do things as creatives. And so there was always a lot of pushback and stress. And eventually it got to where it felt like nothing was ever good enough because we couldn't do it fast enough or we had too many revisions. But like I was always saying, we don't have enough information to provide like a one-time, you know, now I hit it on the mark all the time because I'm actually asking the right questions. But like I couldn't dictate that then. So that drove me crazy. So that was kind of where I started thinking, is this going to be what my work career life is going to be until I'm like 65? Because that's not what I want. And so I was like, well, really at that time, I think I was like 12-ish an hour, maybe at that point. And no, it was more than that. 15. Like still it's like very negligible. So we were living check to check kind of. And I remember checking out at the grocery store and I had just paid some like, I don't know, tax thing or whatever. And I had post dated the check. The IRS ignored my post date and like deposited the check and my debit card got declined. And I had to leave all my groceries. And I remember in that moment, I was like, nope, I want better than this. So I started freelancing, but I had no idea what I was doing because my art college classes don't talk about business. It was all about software. So I had no clue like how to do a website. Can I just have a Facebook page?
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's cool to hear what pushed you towards like starting your own thing. With that, yeah, like how did you learn about business then? Like at that time, like what did you start doing to like figure it out? Because I know a lot of people listening, well, this might be the way they're starting to figure it out is like listening to podcasts. But like what are some things you did that listeners might be able to like also try to help learn things?
Well, I did it wrong, I think.
Okay, yes, tell us what you did wrong.
I didn't know about business. I didn't have contracts. I was doing invoices and PayPal. Like I was just doing like logistically, how do I collect money? Okay, I can send an invoice through a PayPal business account. There was no contract. That never even crossed my mind because none of the companies that I worked for used them. And so that was all like completely new until 2016. So I guess like a year later. So I got a contract then, but it was like literally flying by the seat of my pants, which I'm a risk averse person. So looking back on that now, I'm like, oh, that's terrifying.
I know. Yes, that's tough. Yeah. And I don't think I don't think I told you this in the email whenever I was asking you to do this interview, but contracts are coming to Book.Designer, like a contract template, like complete
That's
one.
Awesome.
Yeah. So the time this airs, it'll actually be in the course, which is pretty cool. But I've worked with an attorney to like write
come up with one specific to for book designer students. That's pretty cool. But yes, like that's such a like important and needed thing early on.
And it felt like such a big purchase too at the time, because I was like, oh, I need to spend like another $200. I've just bought this course and like now I need a contract, but I knew it would cost more to hire an attorney. So it was like, there are a lot more now.
Yes, that's so true. Yeah. So when you first started your side hustle, what were you offering services wise?
Pretty much everything, like business cards, posters. I can't even think, like Facebook profile pictures and cover pictures and like social media post type stuff. And I think I even did some video editing. And then I had a client come to me that wanted to trademark his logo, and he had a Photoshop file of it. So I broke it down and recreated it in vector form so he could submit that. Because I don't know if you've ever gone through that process before, but like you have to have every piece of the logo separate so that you can say like, this is the flower and this is like the whole icon and this is the word mark and this is the logo or the slogan. So I just recreated the whole thing. But like, yeah, I would do like anything that anybody would pay me for.
Wow. Yeah. And that's like, okay. So question for you on that. Do you feel like that was the right move early on, or do you feel like you wish you had gone to just websites sooner, and websites and branding? But like, what would you say? Like, do you like the way you did it or not? I guess
I can't say that I would really do it differently, because you don't really know what you like until you try it. So, and at that point, like I probably would not have felt comfortable calling myself a web designer having been on Weebly for like 6-ish months. And I don't know, like if anybody landed on that website at that time, they probably would have thought that it was run by like a 50-year-old man. I had like no website design style. I didn't know like what was trending so yeah, that was not my expertise. And no, I couldn't have started with website design right out of the gate.
Yeah. And I think we've said before that our story, we have like similar parts of our stories, but I can relate to doing all the things. And I always say that like, I think that was the way to do it, because I would have made no money if I'd have said, I'm only doing this one thing. It's like, okay, that would have been like maybe like $2,000 the whole year. If you just said you're only doing the one thing. And yeah, like you said, you might not feel like you have the skills yet, which is okay to not like have it all figured out immediately. Okay. And then, so you're working full time still though. So how are you making time for your business? Like, what did that look like practically working on client work?
That was really tough, because the full-time job was on average 40 to 50 hours a week. So it was tough. And then the commute back home was another 20, 30 minutes. So it took up a large portion of my day. So basically any free time I had for clients was after dinner, before bed, which I tried not to do during the week, or like Saturday and Sunday, which meant we became homebodies because I didn't have time for anything else and the money was important. So my husband at one point told me that it was like our a third person in our marriage, which was like definitely an issue we had to overcome, because I just didn't have any boundaries. I loved it. And I knew that I could become successful with some version of that later, but I knew it would take time and consistency and discipline, and all of which I have. It's plenty of, but not if I'm ignoring, like I would have to ignore him basically in order to get to where I wanted. I think my drive was just like too strong.
Yeah. How did y'all work through that?
It was really tough. He's very like logically minded, very supportive, but at the same time, he's very like, work is work and it's always going to be hard. And I just refused to believe that was true for me. Like maybe that's true for a large portion of the whole world, but I didn't want that to be my life. And so when he would say that, I was like, nope, that's, I'm sorry. Like that might be the case for you and you might hate your job. But so there was a lot of clash around that, but like, we just had to sit down and say like, I know I can do this. And he's like, I know you can do it too. I'm not worried about that. He was like, I just don't want you to be disappointed that it's taking longer than you think it's going to take. So we just had to have like honest conversations. Like, hey, I have a project. I'm not going to be available this weekend, or like, we need to plan time for the fun stuff.
Yeah, that's helpful of like knowing ahead of time what you're doing and planning the work, the extra work and all that. And yeah, you said that you knew that like work is not always going to be, it doesn't always have to be hard. It's basically what you just said. Like, how do you feel like you had that mentality? Like, where did that come from in you?
I think I just got pushed so far to the threshold of that I was like, I'm not doing, like, I'm only, what was I at the time? Like 28. And I was like, I refuse for this to be my life until I'm 65.
I get what you're saying though, of like, yeah, it doesn't feel like it does not have to be this way. Okay. So you did go full time in your business and that was during the pandemic, correct? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us that story of like what happened there and all the details.
Yeah. So to Christmas 2019, like I told my husband, I cannot do this anymore. It is taking all of my energy away from me. I don't have room for positivity right now. Like, I need to do something else, whether it's Starbucks or like whatever it is, I need to be somewhere else. So with his blessing, I went into work right before. We always closed for like a week over Christmas. And so I went in right before that and I sat down with the owner, who I have all the respect for. And I was like, I'm burnt out. I've been here 8.5 years. I need to do something different. I would like to phase myself out slowly. And at that point, I did not have a backup plan. Like, all I knew was that I couldn't do that anymore and I would figure it out. Yeah. And he was like, I hate to hear, but we've loved having you here and I respect that. Just let me know what you decide. So for months, nothing changed. And then the pandemic started to affect us. I lived in South Georgia at the time, and we started seeing like cases, and things like business started slowing down, and it got to the point where they let go our remote designer. So we went from 4 to 3, and then he cut us back to part-time. And that was like, because I had all of this like extra free time to work on my business at home. And then I was like, this is going to happen. Like, if he wants to let one of us go because business is slow, like, I'm going to volunteer because that's just what I needed to do. And then he offered me a furlough and I was like, please.
Yeah.
I was on unemployment for the furlough from like June 2020 to December 2020, which was almost nothing after that like initial period went down, but at least I had something coming in. And so that kind of took a load off of because we had savings and like, backup or whatever, but like that took the scary part out of like not having paychecks every week.
That feels like it really, even though all that's really hard, it was like a beautifully timed situation for you, of like the way all that went down, which is really cool to hear. So when you went from you're used to being in like an office, right? You weren't working from home.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So you're used to being in an office doing design work for someone else, not being paid what you feel like you should be paid. Going from that to like, now you have all this time to work on your business. What was that like, that transition mentally from like, okay, I'm used to like, my husband's like, please stop working so much. And now you're like, okay, I actually just have a lot of time to work. How did you start to settle out of that into more like, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, this is the hours I'm working, those sorts of things?
The hours were easy for me to tell people to abide by. I was the one that had the problem abiding by my own boundaries. So like, I just made sure that I stopped by the time he got home, like close to or about. And then at that time, I was taking our dog for a walk like every day around 2 or so in the afternoon. And so I made time to do that. And she was really good about coming to me, like standing at my desk and staring at me. So like, make sure she was like, I know it's time. We're going to go for a walk now.
That's nice.
So I did have some boundaries there, but like if he was working late, I didn't stop. I just kept going.
Yeah. And I literally completely agree with you, because I feel like for me, when I first started my business, I worked I feel like I've never worked as much as I felt like I did in the time. Like, looking back, I'm like, I really wasn't working that much. At least that was my experience. But I did do like, okay, husband's working late. And I don't have kids right now. I want to just like work on my laptop and like that's what I want to do tonight. And that's okay. So I think it's good sometimes for people to hear that, because there's such a big mentality right now of like work less, work less, work less. But it's like, to build the business, you might need to work more. And it's okay if that's like what you want to do with your Thursday night. Yeah. So I like that perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about Book.Designer and when you joined. So I have a little testimonial, really a review, I guess the way to say, that you sent at some point after you had joined, but you had said you'd been full-time in your business for 6 months, January 2021, after you'd side hustled for years. And that whole month, you told me you have the number, so I want you to just share it, but you had a huge wins like 2 or 3 months after joining Book.Designer. Okay, here, let's do this. I want you to tell me what made you join Book.Designer, and then I want you to like blow everyone away with your QuickBooks numbers that you said you had to share.
Okay. So in January 2021, we were house hunting for out of state, and I knew I was going to move. So February and March, I was purposefully making fairly quiet because I didn't know like how available I would be. And I didn't know what our internet situation was going to be at the new house. We were moving from Georgia to Vermont. So, I mean, that's like 1,300 miles, big deal. And so January, I was like taking clients, but a lot of people didn't want to wait quite that long. And so there was a gap between January and like April. So yeah, the whole of January, I made literally $269 even. The entire month. And I was like, well, that's not a good sign. But I felt hopeful about it because I was getting I had just rebranded a few months before, and I was getting traffic, and my blog was doing really well. And so I knew it was coming. It really kind of felt like the calm before the storm, actually. And when I settled into the new house, I had systems I needed to work out. I was in Notion really heavily at that time. And while I love Notion for note taking, it's not really great for project management. And when I started booking stuff in like June and August, it felt very chaotic because I'd have invoices in one place and Calendly and then Dubsado and then Notion and all these pieces that didn't fit together. And then I must have listened to some interviewer. I found out that you had just released Book.Designer like once before that. And I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds exactly like what I need in my business. And I listened to some of the interviews or something that you had done on this podcast. And I was like, that's what I need. So I signed up, and like working through module 6, pricing for profit, was like, I mean, wow. And then the wow-worthy client process and module 8, those two are like, that was exactly what I needed. I would have paid that amount just for those 2 modules by themselves.
I love hearing that. Yes. Okay. And then how did your business grow over those next few months?
So I bought the course in, I think it was July is when you launched it again.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So it was like mid-July, literally in August, I made $10,373.34.
Woohoo.
And the funny thing was that I was so busy that I didn't even know that had happened until like January the following year, when I was going through my stuff with my accountant. And I was like, what? I made my first 10K month and I didn't even notice.
I love that. And that does stink that you didn't notice it at the time, but that is really cool. I love that.
Okay, so isn't Katelyn awesome? I hope you guys are enjoying this episode with her. I have to interrupt though, because I want to remind you, you have 2 days left to join Book.Designer during Booked Out Week. Booked Out Week ends on 10/28. So on this Friday, if you're listening to this live, it's on Thursday. And you'll get the amazing course and community that you always get when you join Book.Designer, which is enough of a reason to join, right? But additionally, this week only, you're getting a discount on the Book.Designer program. You can save $150 on the course price for 2 more days. You also get 4 months of group coaching with me. So there are 3 calls with me specifically for business coaching, and then 1 call with certified life coach Becky Hochek for mindset coaching. So you're getting 2 calls with me like before the call with Becky, and then we're doing the call with Becky in January to kick off the new year and really get like our mindset figured out as we enter 2023. And then we're doing 1 more call with me after after that. So 4 months total of group coaching, and our group coaching, seriously top notch for helping you like implement what you're learning in the course or other things going on in your business or in your personal life that you want to work through. You're also getting a live financial masterclass specifically for designers hosted by myself and my awesome bookkeeper, Madison from Madison Dearly Bookkeeping. So we're going to be talking about like financial basics for designers specifically. And I say basic, but it's not going to be that basic. It's like stuff that you need to know foundationally. So whether you're a brand new designer and you're like, how the heck do I get my business finances in order? Or if you've been doing it a while and you're like, how can I like streamline this more? How can I make sure I'm like budgeting to pay myself and doing taxes and planning for things like all of that? You're going to love this class. And if you can't attend it live, there will be a replay, but that is going to be a live class where Madison's teaching and then doing a Q&A after. And you'll also get the new updates to the Book.Designer course, which includes a full attorney drafted contract template for designers. The only place you can get this specific contract is in the Book.Designer course. And you'll also get access to the new ClickUp templates for running your client projects. So if you use ClickUp or you're like, oh my gosh, I'd love to, ClickUp sounds awesome. Putting your clients specifically like into ClickUp as a guest user and like running the project, communicating with them in ClickUp, all of that, you can get my exact process and literally just swipe it into your ClickUp. I have video to show you like how to do that, how to use it, all of that. And then you can start using it to streamline your client process. And seriously, I feel like those templates alone are worth the cost of the course. And those are updates you get. And you get access to all future updates to the course as well. I'm always out for like improving my products, so you'll get lifetime access to that. So anyway, Book.Designer week ends on the 28th, this Friday, so really soon. So if this feels like something that feels right for you in your business right now, please come join us, elizabethmccravy.com/BOD. If you have questions, shoot me an email, hello@elizabethmccravy.com, and I'm happy to chat with you and help you figure out if this is a good fit for you or not. So that is it. Now let's keep learning from Katelyn.
Yeah. And so you said that you said the pricing module and the client experience module were the two that really like impacted you. Do you have anything in particular, like you would say, without, I guess, like sharing everything in the modules? Cause I know those are like a lot in there, but like what in particular helped you in those maybe?
The brand personality workbook is amazing. I think I'm using it almost word for word, the example that you gave us, but like my clients love to fill that out. And because my business is so personality driven for my clients, like they love filling it out and I love seeing their answers. They always make me smile. So that was really good and something I hadn't really considered doing because I had always been thinking like logistically, what do you want to put on X page or whatever? But that was super helpful in nailing down their actual design preferences. But then also being able to go through it in the order that I needed. They're not like chronological, so they don't stack on each other necessarily. Yeah. And so I would just like I said, I did module 1, 6, and 8 to this day. Those are the only ones I've completed. And I've dived into 2, 5, and 7, but I haven't finished them yet. So just from the little bit that I've done, like that's just the growth that came from the little bit that I've done.
Yeah, which
crazy.
I know. And so for people listening, it might kind of be like, wait, you have Katelyn on here to like talk with you about Book.Designer, but she hasn't even finished it. And it's like, no, she hasn't even finished it. And I think that's like such a misconception around courses sometimes. Like you said that those two modules felt like worth the price alone. And I hope you go back and take other stuff, especially as I told you, like I'm adding new stuff to it literally like when this airs that like I think will help you at this point in your business as well. Mm-hmm. But it's also like, it's okay if you don't finish something, as long as you get what you came to get out of it, you get wins from it, you learn something new that helps you like make more money or grow your business or do whatever that course is supposed to help with. So I think that's a good perspective of like, you don't have to finish it. And I did make Book.Designer in such a way that module 1 is the one I would say is like the only one to take first. Then after that, I literally say like skip to what you need right now versus taking it chronologically. Because a lot of the stuff earlier on, you might have actually been like beyond that. Like some of the stuff early is like some stuff related to getting your website and your own brand messaging and things like that. Mm-hmm. You were already at the point where you'd figure that out.
Yeah. So then I jumped into like the business foundations, which your module on the credit card stuff was really helpful too,
Oh,
which is
God.
crazy. And the
Yeah.
discovery call, like watching you do the discovery call with the client was super interesting because I wasn't actually doing anything different. My prices were just way too low.
Yeah. And there's so much like specifics on that too, even of, I think, like you said, the pricing for profit module is really helpful to you. And that's like probably one, my favorite module in the course is the client experience one, because that's the one that
Mhm.
I feel like was just so exciting for me to create. And I felt like I literally poured my entire brain into it. But my second one would be that one. And I love the discovery call module too. But yeah, like there's so much in there. Like, yeah, your prices were, you said like your prices were just too low was a big part of it, which like, what was that? I wanted to ask you that as well. Like earlier on in your business versus more recently, like how has your prices changed?
I charged 1,200 to 1,500 for a website for years. Like it just never occurred to me that it should change because I was just like too in the forest to see the trees or whatever the saying
Yeah.
is. Like, so I hopped on a call. I think it was a coaching call with you during the course when I was asking
Yes.
a question about something. And then you mentioned that they might be a little low. And then the students in the chat were like, I looked at your site. I was
I
surprised at
literally
how low.
remember that. Everyone
And
was like, Katelyn, you're so amazing and talented. What the heck?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing this wrong.
Yeah, I literally remember that because I feel like a lot of people in the course had like been following you and loved your brand already. And then they were like shocked that you were charging what you were.
Yeah, yeah. So it's changed quite a bit. My average is now is like 5,000. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage is, but I mean, that's a lot different than it was. But that's just for a website. I still do a website and brand. So that's even more. And then of course, VIP days. Now I get 1,500 for the day as opposed to 1,500 for the entire website, which is a lot
Yeah.
better.
What is your VIP day offer? What is that like?
Usually it's a punch list. Like they have a list of things that they need to get done and they don't know how or don't have the time. And so we just go over that in a discovery call and I tell them, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can get through these and maybe we'll get to those if we can. And we just kind
Yeah.
of have an agreed task list or whatever. So just for like an 8-hour day.
I love that. That's like, yeah, VIP days I know are really big right now. And that sounds like a really awesome one, like a good way to do that. So you're not doing a full website, you're just doing like specific things someone might need.
Yeah, just edits basically, which works really well for me because, like I said, I'm a fixer and I love to go in and fix things. It feels like I'm swooping in to save the day. So,
Yeah. That's really cool. Okay, I want to talk about another thing I want to talk about. Your branding and your business personality. I literally put in my notes, it's a little sassy and spicy is how I describe it, which I think you describe as like you're very personality driven
yeah.
business. But you have a very strong brand presence. And I also know that you chose to niche to a personality type instead of an industry. So instead of being like, I only work with photographers as an example, because that's a common one. You've gone more to like a personality you work with. So I just want you to talk about that. Like, how did you decide that? What does that look like in your business?
Yeah, that was it took a long time to get there. I started under my own name at Katelyn Dekle Designs, and then I moved into a studio because I thought maybe eventually I'll have an agency or something. I don't know, like where I was
It's like a
going with that.
studio type name, you mean?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
literally Studio 1862 because our cabin was the original portion of it was built in 1862, and the upstairs was where my office was over that original portion. So that was the name that I landed on. And I
Yeah.
did that for like, I don't know, 3-ish years. And
Yeah.
it never felt right. I changed my fonts a million times. I changed my color palette a million times. I redesigned my logo 3 times. And I
Yeah.
couldn't ever settle on it. And I could never figure out why I couldn't land on something that I could just stick with. And I also felt like the people that I'd worked with before always felt like websites are going to be expensive and they're not going to do anything. Like it's just a box that you check. When you have a business, you have to have a website, you have to have a Facebook page, you have to have all these things. And I was like, I don't want it to feel that way. That feels so heavy. And coming from a very like conservative Bible Belt kind of area, my dad's an ordained Baptist minister. So like just throwing that into the mix. I don't know if I'm like unusual in that kind of area, but like I couldn't I couldn't do the professional thing if I also wanted to do like personality driven. And I was noticing the people that I attracted were people more like me, my personality, which is like, if an occasional word falls out of my mouth that is not okay in one kind of group, then like those people are going to be okay with it. And eventually what I kept hearing was that those people were like, I'm just ready to launch it. Like, I just want to get it done. And so when I was trying to think of a new name, like I finally just was like, just launch the damn thing, because that attracts the right type of person that has the fun, like carefree, lighthearted. It did all the work for me, basically.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it really does feel like you just said like carefree, lighthearted, like let's do this, get it done.
Yeah.
Your business name really does like stand out so well in that way, which is cool. You went through, okay. So we both have had three business names, which like I feel like regular podcast listeners have heard my whole take on what that's like, but how do you feel about the fact that you've changed it 3 times? Like, has that affected you negatively? Anything like, because you said one of them you had for like 3 years, one of those names.
Yeah.
Okay.
Studio 1862. I still have that domain. Actually,
Okay.
It points to my current one. And yeah, I had that one from I think 2016 to like mid 2020 when I started. Because initially I was thinking I'll keep Studio 1862 as my like design brand, and then I'll have Launch the Damn Thing as the template shop. But when I actually put that into practice, I was like, 2 social media platforms for everything, 2 pages for everything, 2 Instagram accounts, 2 Facebook accounts, 2 email marketing. And then when I realized I had to have 2 email marketing plans and 2 website domains, I was like, I don't even like Studio 1862 that much. Like, where I felt at home, where I could feel like the most comfortable in my own skin was Launch the Damn Thing. So I just had to merge them together.
Yeah, those business names are so different that if you had both of them existing together, like one is a template shop, one is like the other side. It's like they don't feel like they feel like 2 separate businesses too much. I feel like from the name perspective,
way too different, and they like the personality was different behind. Like when I would show up for one, I was this person, and when I would show up for the other, I was this person, and I didn't like switching between the two, and one of them wasn't me anyway.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I want people listening to just hear that like you picked a name when you first started. You said you went with your own name, and you were able to change it. So like you don't have to have the name completely. Yeah, it does have to be. You still own the second business's domain name. I also still own my second business name domain name, and eventually I'll cancel it. I keep feeling like I'm like afraid to. Like I'm like, I don't know how much traffic is still coming to this. I hope it's not much, but you never know. So yeah, it's like okay to change. And what you start with doesn't have to be what it ends with. And okay, a question I have for you. You've told me that 98% of your clients are finding you through Google traffic to your blog. And you do use social media some. We can talk about that. I think maybe you do, but not really much for like the past 2 years. But so you are running a business where clients are finding you through Google, which I know sounds so dreamy in this age where we're like, people are feeling kind of over Instagram, which I'm like, it's okay to feel over Instagram. I like, it doesn't mean you're a bad person or do anything wrong in your business. It's hard times right now. But tell us about that. Like, what are you doing that's making that happen? All of that.
Well, when I first started and I got my website up and I was like, okay, now it's live. And this is back when I was on Weebly. I was like, now it's live. Like, now what? How on earth is anybody even going to know that it exists? And everybody was saying SEO, you have to blog. And I was like, oh, I don't want to blog. Like, all I've ever written are like, what is that? Like college style MLA or something like that. My like research papers for art history and stuff. And so I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, that sounds terrible. Well, I did it anyway. I started like every other week and I did that for years. Wow. And then in 2019, I was comfortable enough with it that I did every week. And then when I rebranded in fall 2020, I started doing twice weekly. And I noticed at that point, took a while, but I finally figured it out. Every time I increased my consistency on the blog with the stuff I was posting, my traffic increased on the website. And it's not because I'm an SEO expert. I'm not. I was doing my URLs wrong, but I was consistently posting content people were looking for. And eventually it got me where I am now. So I'm back to once a week because that's really all I can handle with my client workload. But I do once a week and I have a decent SEO strategy for DIY, and people find me. That's basically where everybody finds me, is on Google.
That's
on
awesome.
my Dubsado form where it says like, where did you find me? Google's a choice, but then the next question down is like, please tell me more details. And everybody's like, I was searching for, they named this thing like how to do X on Squarespace, and I found your blog. But then on my blog, and all my blog posts are doing double duty. So I have at the bottom of every post a call to action to get them to do something. So not just more posts, but also like, this blog is related to a service I offer, or this blog is related to a thing that I sell. And so I guess that leads them to the path to spend money, I guess.
Yes, I love that. I love how you're asking that question in your contact form, because I'm very pro that, and asking them to explain it after the drop down, because that is so helpful when someone's willing to actually type out like, I searched for this. You're like, thank you for just telling me.
Yeah. And I get the most
awesome.
interesting add-ons to that too. They're like, I found your blog and I love your business vibe. Everybody says that, your brand vibe or something like that. And it's such a common thing.
Yeah. And that's like, yeah, I mean, you've done so many things like to differentiate yourself. I mean, just thinking about your story, like you went from you're freelancing on the side of your full-time job, doing all the things, and under your own name, and then under a name that didn't really resonate with you. And now it's like you've refined your services, you've refined who you're talking to. You have a marketing strategy that isn't necessarily what maybe the world is telling you have to do for marketing right now, but it's what works for you, and what you want to do. And it's working beautifully, which I just love hearing. And with social media, I'd like to tie back into that, because I know, are you using social media much? I guess that's my first question. Like, what does that look like, since blogging is your main marketing outlet?
I used to post at least once a week when I blogged, and it was like a mock-up of, I don't know, an iPad or something with my blog thumbnail on it. It was like super basic. And then last summer, I think they had reels come out, and I was like, oh, more video. Like, that is not my thing. And so I dabbled in that. I actually had one go viral ish. It hit like 800,000 people, which for me, it was like, that was an accident. Like, that was not intended.
What was it about?
It was, there's a song that was like, shoot, now I can't think of the name of it, where it was like, I know what you did, or tell me, I don't remember. Anyway, but like the point was, the thing was playing in the background, and it was like, something you don't know about me, or something like that. And what I said was, my mother-in-law, who is like a modern day Mother Teresa, she's the sweetest, most caring, most kind, peaceable woman I have ever met. And she still does not know what my business name is, because I cannot bring myself to tell her.
That's
So the reel was like, I don't know, whatever the song is. And it was like, that was what the text said. It was like, I can't tell my mother-in-law what my business name is, because that's legally what it is. Like, in the state of Vermont, my business is Launch the Damn Thing.
That is funny. I'll have to link to that reel and go watch it myself so everyone can see it. But that does sound like a funny, fun reel there. Yeah. So you are, though, posting regularly now.
I'm not now, though. I posted a reel recently where I had a blooper reel of some video that I made, and I just had to share it with people, because it was just like, you know how when you take a video of something, like you can have outtakes, or like your cat walks in front of the screen, or like your video goes blurry or something. So I took all the outtakes and like pushed them together and posted that. And that was the first time I'd posted in like a couple months.
Yeah. And do you ever worry you're like behind by not posting much, or you feel confident in what you're doing?
No, Instagram's definitely where I want to be the most active of all the places that I have an account. If I post on Instagram, I'll often cross post to Facebook. I don't even know who's over there on my page. And I do have a TikTok account, a LinkedIn account, and a Twitter account, and a Pinterest account. At one time I was like super heavy on the Pinterest. I was pinning like 50 things a week or a day. I think it was a day. Crazy. And I used Tailwind for like 2 years. I was like in it to win it. And I was getting like 100,000 account views a month or something. But eventually I just realized the ROI for that just wasn't it wasn't there. And I was spending all that time and energy on something that wasn't actually bringing me clients. People were finding me on Google, and I was like, okay, I got to pick one.
Yeah. And it's good to know, like, just paying attention to like where
Yeah.
people are finding you. And that's something that's like so fun to me, and interesting about this kind of advice, because like, I want people to apply everything you just said to their business instead of applying it to your business, right? Because like someone else's contact form might be saying they're finding you on Instagram or on TikTok or on Pinterest. It's like you have to go with what's working and also combine that with what you enjoy doing, the kind of like marketing you want to be creating. And I also want to just note for people too listening that like right now, I feel like it's sometimes people want to say blog instead. I'm always like emphasizing it's not. And if you do podcasting or YouTube, you've got to be blogging as well. Like those things need to be on your website. But you're a great example, someone you're not doing a podcast, at least right now. You might eventually, I guess, but you're not doing a YouTube channel.
I did start doing video in May this year. So not every post, but like when it's relevant and whatever I'm talking about, like needs to have something on the screen.
That's cool.
Growing.
So is that going on YouTube? I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Figuring out what works for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have 2 questions to ask you to close. First thing is that I want to know, as someone who is a show it designer, what your favorite thing about being a Squarespace designer is.
I really like tinkering with things and like making it work. And Squarespace gives you enough freedom that the ease of use on the back end for the client is like almost no brainer. Yeah. And so I can flood the site with all these custom features and make it do all these fun things, but like make sure that they don't have to do any of that themselves. And it's really easy for them to like reorder their pages or like make a drop down menu in the navigation, and they don't have to like apply a canvas for the footer and like just basic stuff. So my clients aren't probably all super tech savvy, so it's a good fit for them. And they just have so much like included in the box. It's like one plan for the blog and for the commerce and for the you can add like membership to it, and like all this stuff comes with it, and video hosting now too, which is crazy.
Cool.
Yeah. So it really is like a all-in-one box kind of thing.
I love that. And I love that you're using Squarespace. I think all the platforms, I'm always like, I know I use Show It, but hey, designers like you, like try them all and find the one that works for you and for the clients.
Absolutely. People ask me that all the time, and I'm like, I've picked up Webflow. Like I like the idea of it, but I mean, people aren't coming to me for Webflow. So why would I take the time to learn a whole new platform? If people are more interested in Squarespace right now? I can always pick up another one. That's the thing. Like it's all kind of the same. The rules for what you put in your navigation and what you put in your footer are not specific to Show It or to Webflow or to Shopify or to Squarespace. So it's just like learning a new software if you ever want to pick up another one.
Yeah, very true. Okay, next question. An unpopular opinion you have about design. So that could be about being a designer, about design trends, about working with clients, like whatever it is, just an unpopular opinion about design.
I probably have a few.
I know, I feel like you might want to.
Niching is my number one. Like when I was told for so long that like you need to niche down, I always assumed that it had to be an industry. And so when I finally decided that I really just don't care about the industry that much, I really just want to work with a certain type of person, that was like hitting the gold mine for me. It was just like that, like, why didn't I think about that earlier? Yeah. So just want to be like super clear that niching is important, but it doesn't have to be to like a specific industry if you don't want it to be. And then maybe another unpopular opinion I have is that you don't have to be everywhere. Like, I feel like that's not really said by anybody, but the bigger businesses that have the visibility that the smaller people are looking at, they see everybody on YouTube and everybody on LinkedIn, and everybody on TikTok, and everybody doing Instagram reels, and everybody doing Instagram stories and Facebook and Pinterest. And it's like, it's not feasible for you to do all of that in the beginning. Those people have help. You don't, very likely. So I always just tell people like, no, none of those things are important. Like just pick one and run with it. When you get really comfortable with that one, you can stack something else on top of it.
Yeah, I love that. I love those. I agree with those unpopular opinions as well. That's great. Okay. And then my last question, then I want you to tell people where they can find you after this. But for someone thinking about joining Booked Designer, what advice and things would you tell them?
Oh my gosh, so many things. It's worth every penny and probably a lot more. Watching Elizabeth sit down with her clients, like if you've ever been uncomfortable or unsure or insecure in how you talk to your client on a discovery call and like what questions to ask and when do you give them the price and all, like she answers all of those questions. And even if you're already doing all of those things, which I was, it's just the validation that you get. They're like, okay, I'm not doing anything wrong. So all of those modules, the pricing for profit was incredible. Like just realizing what simple things you can change and doing the math and like figuring out, okay, if I'm charging $1,000, like I was just listening to your episode with Josh last week, and he was like, his light bulb ding moment was doing $1,000 websites. You'd have to do like 100 of those to make and that's just not possible. So at some point you have to realize like you do have to price to make a profit. And I don't know why it takes people a long time to figure that out. But when you laid it out, it just made sense. So do it. It will be worth it. You will make that money back. I mean, what did I like nearly 5 times that amount in like a month?
That's awesome. Yes, I love it. And then they get to hang out with you in the Facebook group. If they join as well, they can ask your take on things as well. You're so active in our group too, which I've always appreciated that you're good at coming in there and asking questions and answering people's questions in like extreme detail. You're a very like,
I'm so detail oriented.
Whenever you answer a question, it's really long, but I'm always like, oh, this is great. She's really helping out here with her long answer.
I cannot be short-winded to save my life.
Yes, I can relate to that. I feel like, yeah. And that's why we've talking so long. I told Katelyn this would be like a 30-minute interview and she's probably like, what the heck, Elizabeth, you won't stop asking me.
I didn't even notice.
We've been talking a while, but it's been so fun. And I feel like I keep asking you questions, but I do want to close this up and tell everyone though where they can find you, about the different resources. I know a lot of people listening right now are designers, but also a lot of people are not and could be like your dream clients who are freaking amazing. So tell us about the ways to work with you and all that.
Yeah. So I am at launchthedamnthing.com. And I also have a mini course for website strategy because a lot of the people that I'm in coaching calls with are like, I don't know where to find clients and I don't know how to read my analytics. And so I did like mini lessons on some of those things. So you can hop into that. It's $47. I think you can save like $20 by doing save 20 at checkout. So less than $30 and it's really, really good. And then I also do a blog every week and some of those have videos on YouTube, and always thought that I used to sound like Daria. And so the last couple of years, as I've been doing more video, people have said like, no, I don't think you sound like Daria. So whatever, that's always what I associated with myself. So it took a long time to do video, but I'm doing it now.
I love it. I need to go watch your videos. Yes. And everyone go connect with you and look at your website. And I really do believe that like your whole business is such a good example for designers and other service providers of like how to, like you're saying, like really niche in a unique way from what the norm that people say is of like niching to an industry. So
yeah, it is kind of hard to put your finger on because it's kind of a loose, like when you know, kind of personality type.
Yeah. Yeah. It resonates with people well when it's right fit there.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I love that. Thank you for your time and for chatting,
You're
Katelyn.
welcome.
It's been wonderful.
It's been an honor. Thank you.
Hey friend, thanks for listening all the way to the end of this episode. I hope you feel encouraged and inspired. If you loved this episode and you want more, I just got to tell you, you need to check out book.designer. I know I've already mentioned in this episode, but in case you missed that part, it's my course and coaching program that teaches you how to build a successful business as a designer. Students literally call it the best course they've ever taken, jam-packed with value, worth every penny, and like having a seasoned mentor holding your hand through every aspect of running a design business. And it's the course that keeps on giving. You get access to any changes, future coaching calls in our community as long as the course exists. You'll get help with things like financial decisions, like when you need to hire a bookkeeper, how to find an accountant, things of that nature, templates to help you track your finances, my exact strategies to network your way to more clients in a relational and fun way, how to create a marketing strategy for your business that works for you and for your season of life. You'll learn how to run client projects from start to finish, including an entire module on discovery calls, things like onboarding, doing the brand project, doing the website project, calls with the client throughout the project, all the templates and forms that go along with that, and so much more. You'll also get a contract template that you can swipe and customize for your own business to use for your brand and website design projects, and so much more. It is a 90 module course, nearly 100 modules. So that's just the tip of the iceberg, as they say. There's a lot more to it, and you can learn more in the sales page. So I would say if that interests you, that sounds like something that could be a good fit for the season of business you're in, go check it out at elizabethmccravy.com/BOD. Feel free to message me on Instagram or shoot me an email with any questions. I'm happy to chat with you, and I hope to see you inside our community.